Hey friends, this is Joseph Maynor. So what I want to do in this video is I want to talk about the sneaky nature of politics, especially with reference to the United States. And I'm going to be covering spiral dynamics stages orange, green, and yellow to give some perspective on this discussion. So the founders actually wanted Americans to be truth inclined. And the idea was we're going to make a bunch of American citizens, we're going to have the rule of law, and the will of the citizens will be reflected in the law via enactments of Congress. So primarily the government, the law that rules even the powers that be, namely the government and everything public, including the private citizens, including the courts. All of that was going to be ruled by the Constitution or the will of the citizens. And that together would be the law. And so what the kind of stage orange idea behind the United States, the founders, was that through free dissemination of information, people would then fight over truth and then get a better epistemology, get a better account of what's true versus what's false. And then through the free enterprise of the media companies, also, there would be like this kind of fantasy of merit. Like the best idea will win, the best idea will become popular, or at least the majority of Americans will support the best idea because there's kind of a presumption that everybody is rational too. See, kind of modernity, everybody is rational, right? Everybody has a conscience. These are some assumptions that are kind of blue-orange, actually, blue-orange. And a kind of fantasy that it's truth and justice and freedom that the United States is about, and we're going to use reason and the free exchange of ideas and the competition among those ideas to guide us toward truth, and that's what we will base our political philosophy around. I'm realizing now it's more like blue-orange. Blue with like an orange tinge. So blue is about truth. It's about let me see here. There's a theme on page 229. Truth force, the purposeful meme. Right? So blue gets beyond red with this concept of the good or the true. And you can see like Plato's Republic as a great example of like a stage blue society where, we're not fighting with each other, but we all know our place too. And our place is something called the truth or the good. Well, the problem is it didn't work that cleanly in the United States. That we found out that things started to shift from that kind of stage blue to stage orange. Much more so now. I think we're kind of flirting with like mid-phase to exiting phase stage orange, I think. I mean, there's been like Obama, you could argue, was kind of orange-green maybe. Biden, maybe orange-green. But these are like exceptions more so than the rule. So it's like every once in a while, yeah, the wave like laps into green, but then it laps out of green, goes back into orange. So I think it's pretty clear that the United States fundamentally is a stage orange country at this point. And the big difference between orange and blue is in blue, we're all Americans, right? We're all American citizens. We don't fight with each other that way, right? We have a group feeling. We feel like one big family. Think about how, like, if you've ever gone to like an Islamic country, like, so I've been to Turkey when I went to Istanbul, and it's amazing how you have all these different people, but because of the fact that they all believe in Islam, when that bell rings, they all, no matter where they are, they go into a mosque and they pray together. So blue has this sense of togetherness that I think stage orange lacks. Stage orange is more like a basketball game. It's about competition. It's about you versus me, plaintiff versus defendant, hawks versus doves. Like everything is a competition, everything is a battle. And what little love you have in your life, you have to create that yourself. That's not going to be given through some kind of stage blue culture. We don't have a religion. It kind of reminds me like when Mao went in and wiped out all the religion in China because he was trying to modernize everybody. In a way, that's kind of a stage orange move, right? But see, what happens when you do that is you actually decrease the quality of life in a certain sense when you move from blue to orange. You decrease it in this sense. Think of like the United States during World War II. We all have an external enemy, and we're all Americans, and we're all working together for a common good, right? The common good, the common truth. The enemy was not in here, it was out there. It wasn't you against your neighbor. It's like anybody who's willing to be an American citizen and vote and discern truth and go and help fight against our common enemy, it's all good, right? Stage blue. But then there became a certain point like where the United States became the world superpower, especially like long after World War II, where yeah, we have threats, but like nobody really wants to fuck with us either, right? So now we don't really have a full external enemy anymore, but we still have a desire to have an enemy because our country was built on conflict, as conflict being a way to discern the truth. But that's been corrupted by stage orange. And what I want to do is I want to take my first break just so I can think about sort of some ways that it's been corrupted. And then the third part of the video will be, what I think of this whole beef between Trump and the liberals and why this is so predictable and so stupid, but also not stupid because it's here. But you got to understand like why it's happening, right? It's so predictable. And once you understand why it's happening, you can go, okay, that's the game that's being played. That's the drama of our time. And you can look at it a different way. You don't have to get so hurt by it, just because it's nonsense, but there's a reason for it. So it's not entirely nonsense. You got to find that thread of reason, right? Spinoza would say, in the sense experience. So just give me 1 second. All right, friends, welcome back. So I think one of the first things is when you don't have an enemy, you tend to become a narcissist, right? So in a way, I think in the United States, we've become narcissists just because we think we're the best in the world. Like we believe. I know as an American, all the Americans that live here, from the bum on the street to the billionaire, everybody here believes that the United States is the world's superpower. bar none, right? So we have a high opinion of ourselves already, which makes us arrogant and egotistical. I think the other thing is that the courts have allowed money to influence politics, like in the Citizens United case, which allowed money to come from the outside to influence American politics through political action committees or corporations or whatever they're called, PACs, PACs. That's part of it. The other part of it, I think, is the 24-hour news crap, right? That had a huge impact. I mean, we've obviously had problems when you have a free press. We've had yellow journalism stuff happening before, pamphlets where people would talk shit the same way they do on online forums, but it would be published in like a pamphlet, right? So you could raise the dander of anybody, but you would do it not from your avatar on Facebook, but in some kind of a pamphlet that would be published in your community. So we've always had this kind of trolling, kind of gossip thing happening. But man, it's made so much more easy to do with social media now, that this lofty ideal that the founders had, and maybe it's still true, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit too like anal about this or something. Maybe as Spinoza would say, if it's here, it's good. So in other words, like, truth may be too much of an ideal, too much of a stage blue, stage green creature, stage turquoise creature. See, the feminine wants to have a nice community for everybody and wants things to evolve. The masculine oftentimes will get interested in myopic battles. And you got to realize that both of those are here and both of those are good. There's nothing worse than like stale blue, stale green, or stale turquoise. Without that masculine like goosing those stages, they would get complacent and they would get, they would turn into assholes, but as communities, like a cult, for example. So instead of Hobbes's Leviathan or the United States government, we have some kind of a socialist cult as a government, or religious cult as a government, like stage green and stage blue, respectively. So as obnoxious as Trump is, kind of peak phase stage orange, Trump, in a way, he embodies that whole mentality that the framers had, like, not let the best idea win, which is more like stage blue or stage green. But for Trump, it's let the best source of power win. Like, we're not in a world that's governed by truth. We're in a world that's governed by power, right? See, that's more like stage orange. We're in a world that's governed by power, strive, drive. Right? If you look in this book, Spiral Dynamics, page 244, stage orange, strive, drive, the strategic meme. So you wonder why people don't care about Trump shit-talking, right? Do you care about people shit-talking on the court when you're watching a basketball game? No, you just care who wins and who loses. So from Trump's perspective, he's going to use everything to win. He's willing to use everything he can to win. He's willing to brand himself, so he's got marketing as a component to it. He's willing to lie to people. He's willing to kind of gaslight people, entertain people, because the only thing that Orange is concerned about is winning versus losing. See? So yeah, if truth wins, they'll support truth. But if lies win, they will support lies, because they've gotten beyond those lofty goals of blue, and they're kind of too stupid to realize the lofty goals of green. Like, dude, being some kind of a person who, being like, one of these political people, they could be on the left or the right. I mean, I want to say Tucker Carlson, but, it could be somebody else on the left, right? where your job is to kind of stir the political pot every day. Why are you doing that? Because you're making money for somebody doing that. So even though you're anti-truth, you're still serving some kind of a power that's winning, or else you wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't be making millions of dollars a year. So you're part of a machine that's operating on power, even if you're telling the truth or you're spreading lies, or a combination of the both. And this is something that Stage Green doesn't want to hear. Stage Green wants to look at it like everybody else underneath Stage Green are fucking morons, right? Because they're not Stage Yellow. They don't have like a spiral wizard mentality yet. So Stage Green looks at Stage Orange people as basically just despicable, right? Like, you don't have to live that way, man. You know? Like, there's a way where we can all recognize our own common humanity and come together and build an America where everybody gets to flourish. Everybody gets a trophy, right? The bum on the street, maybe we figure out a way where the bum on the street can use his or her talent to seek donations or make money in a much more sustainable way. Maybe we don't have to think of things in terms of winners and losers. Maybe it is better to go back to a kind of Stage Green mentality where we're all Americans. But it's not like consolidated through religion, it's consolidated through reason. See how reason is more important than sense experience. It's like Spinoza put reason over sense experience. You can see the difference between green and orange. Orange is entirely reliant on sense experience. Pragmatism. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? Look at Hobbes's Leviathan, which is kind of blue-orange. And so you need a government that keeps all these selfish assholes from hurting each other and giving them a way to sue each other for recompense of damages if transgressions do arise. And what little family you have at Orange is because you created it. It's like that Michael Douglas in Wall Street. If you want a friend, get a dog. If you want a friend in this town, get a dog, right? That's Stage Orange. Stage Orange looks at it like, we are not friends. Everything is social, political, and power driven at Orange. It's all about somebody winning and somebody losing. And morality is just another way to gaslight people. Truth is another way to gaslight people. The only truth is what works at Stage Orange. If it works, it's good. That's why Stage Orange people don't like philosophy, generally. You wonder why Stage Orange and Stage Green don't get along. Stage Green loves philosophy, right? They love reason. They love intuition. Because they see that life can be healthier. Like, we can have much more well-being than we currently have. We can make it so that everybody has health insurance, right? Think of Obama with Obamacare. Everybody has health insurance. Well, the Stage Orange people look at it like, no, the only way you should have health insurance is if you created health insurance for yourself. Or you work for somebody who gave you health insurance. Otherwise, you're on your own. Fuck you. You're a loser, right? Stage Green looks at it like this whole like winners, losers mentality makes you a loser. The only winner is you and me living a loving, happy human life on this planet. So you can see the reemergence of the moral mentality. Like there's a way to save ourselves from orange by becoming progressives, right? That the conservatives are kind of morally stunted. But this sounds in a way like a repetition of blue and red. You know, blue looking at red like, you got to join our church, you know, you got to find God. It's like that, but like an octave higher at green. And so I think the reason why Stage Orange works is because by stirring the pot, by creating drama, lots of people make money by distracting other people and and riling up people's emotions, because people are bored, unhappy, they're not doing the things they want to be doing in their life. They're looking for some kind of a relief. It's like giving somebody some food or giving somebody some drugs, like some cocaine, you know. That's what drama is like. You know, it placates you in the moment. Giving somebody some alcohol, right? It placates you in the moment. It takes the attention off yourself because you can blame somebody else. There's a relief that comes in that. And there's a lot of people who make money, right, by giving people that relief. Kind of like a high-class drug dealer, right? Never thought about it that way. I don't think I even ever thought about it that way until now. So, but I think what Spinoza would say is that this isn't bad. This is like a developmental process that the United States has to go through, and even that the world has to go through. Reality, the United States is like a mode of God / nature. So whatever is going on in the United States is a necessary mode within God. There's nothing flawed about it's interesting, like it's paradox. There is and there isn't. There's nothing flawed about Trump becoming president again. In fact, it's natural. I mean, you don't expect somebody who's 15 years old to be able to act like a 50-year-old. Usually. I mean, sometimes there are people that are 50 years old, they still act like they're 15 years old. But like having unreasonable expectations for a system is stupid too, right? That just shows you haven't hit stage yellow. So stage yellow is called I think it's the systemic meme. Let's see here. So page 275, yellow, flex flow, the systemic meme. So yellow realizes things happen the way they do because of the nature of systems. And it's not personal. So Trump winning shouldn't really like raise your dander, right? If you're really at stage orange, you're going to look at it like, well, there's a systemic explanation for why this happened. All we can do differently is vote differently at the ballot box and try to create other systems that curtail systems that we don't like some of the excesses of stage orange and stage green. So green tries to correct orange. Yellow tries to correct the entire spiral and also accept the entire spiral. That's the difference between yellow and tier 1 stages, is that yellow looks at it like there's no sense in bitching about shit without understanding systemically what's going on in the first place. And then to take actions to create systems, to create the change that we want to create as individuals, because yellow is a masculine stage. So we're thinking of ourselves again as like free thinking individuals. Think of like orange develops a conscience at green and a brain at yellow. Like a philosophical brain at yellow, a systemic brain at yellow. So now you're an individual again, but you're looking at it like it is what it is. And there's no sense in whipping a 5-year-old for acting stupid, right? I mean, they're 5. So how do you guide somebody at the lower stages without sort of like saying, well, we're not going to do anything about it, right? Because that would be too passive. That's like, the C student who wants to think that there are no A students, right? I give that to Leo. He did a blog post on that. But yeah, we don't want to like pretend like there's nothing we can do. right? That's not sage yellow. But sage yellow looks at it like, unless you're going to create a system that actually solves a problem, then you're just stressing yourself out, right? Because you don't own reality. Reality is what it is despite what you do. Reality is not here to feel good to you. It's like somebody who's always like pinching their nose going like, oh, it stinks in here. No, it's like maybe you're just like fucking focused on the wrong thing, man. Maybe that stank is part of reality, right? You ever thought of that? Reality's not here to smell good to you all the time. That's a weird example, but it's kind of true. But also, you don't want to go too far in the other direction where you kind of blame the victim. Instead of going, no, dude, if something does stink and I raise holy hell about it, in a nice way, of course, in an assertive way, not in a passive way or an aggressive way, then yellow would also say, do that too. So it's not about like renouncing. It's not about being aggressive. So it's not about being passive. It's not about being aggressive. It's being systemically adequate to solve a problem that's a real problem, though. It's not just some crazy egoic thing that you are concerned about, like, saving the whales. Why are you really concerned with saving the whales? Because you have a job where you work for a company that gets donations for people who want to save the whales. And so for you at Stage Green, because of the way that you got to keep that job, you got to please them, and you also want to feel good. You also want the kudos that come from people saying, oh, thank you for your service, right? It reminds me a little bit of like people who do that in the military at Stage Blue. So Stage Green and Stage Blue are actually very similar. They both have this kind of moralistic, truth-bent kind of mentality. Although green pretends that it's relativistic, it is on some level, but not with regard to itself. So yellow is much more relativistic than green is, in the sense that orange can see the entire spiral and how the entire spiral relates systemically as an individual. Yellow can do that. Orange isn't focused on that. Orange is more focused on practical. Right? Everybody's trying to get that meat, get that chicken, right? That's orange. And it's whoever like bags the most chicken, get that chicken, right? It's whoever bags the most chicken who wins. Even if it's like, Desert Storm, where Norman Schwarzkopf like faked like he was going into evade in one direction, they went in another direction. That's very Stage Orange. Like I'm not going to play by any kind of conventional rules to beat you, right? I'm going to be like the Green Berets, like the guerrilla, fighter. If I have to lie to win, I will do that, because it's all about me winning and you losing. And you don't see that in blue. You don't see that in green. You see that in yellow, but it's dialed down. It's like, I'm going to win as an individual for myself, for my own peace of mind, through understanding. And I understand all this systemic crap, but I'm not going to get sucked into the drama of politics, of hating other people. I'm going to figure out what's important in my life, and systemically what I can do by understanding reality to improve my life and the people that I relate with. And you do realize the stupidity of the tier 1 stages, but also the necessity of those stages too. It's like being in a family where you have like somebody in your family who's an asshole, right? And you have two options. You have three options there. You have one, to try to correct them. 2, to try to defeat them. 3, to try to reform them. Or 4, to accept them but not let it affect you, because you understand that system is the way that it is, and it's not personal to you, and not everything here should be palatable to you or to others either. So in a way, yellow has a a concept of ego that is, I think, a little bit more sophisticated than green. Like yellow sees its own ego much more clearly than green does. Okay, friends, thank you. Hopefully this was a good video. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.